I stood up for these niggas, and these niggas didn't appreciate it. So when I got locked up, these niggas cheered. And they crossed me.
The thing I learned from him the most probably was to be aggressive, you know?
Bitch, if it weren't for me, you would never have nothing. If it weren't for me, wouldn't nobody know you.
And we're gonna get some clarity in this area.
Controversial CEO of Death Row Records.
The most feared figure in all of hip-hop.
Vicious assaults, beating, pistol whipping.
This guy was gonna go to jail for 45 years of life. I wasn't late to put up almost $5 million for attorney fees. Staff, 50, 60 guys, escort them in the court building before they want to get beat up.
He was the fixer, the cleaner.
Yeah.
Something's wrong, he knows what to do.
I look at it like if I'm with you, I'm with you. We're on the same team, I'm gonna do what I can do to always help.
The tensions which originated the beef started soon after Tupac's arrival at Death Row Records.
I've watched a few of his interviews where he said, hey man, I went to Suge and told him to bring Cuz over here. I believe he did. But I also believe, I gotta say, I think he brought him over there to be his Robin. I didn't think he was gonna come there. I didn't think he thought he was gonna come there and become Batman. I believe he became the #1, and Snoop thought that he would be his good sidekick, like his #2 guy. You know, like this would be a good 1-2 punch. And in no time, Pac got there and became #1. That's what he wasn't second to nobody. This period, he took over fast. So I don't think he did it so that he could sit in the second seat. You know, Pac just blew up, like major. Yeah. And I do recall there was a time when I was going down the hallway, Suge and Pac were talking in the hallway. They would just look like finalizing a conversation. And I don't know what was said before, but I do know that Suge said, but man, be respectful. This is the house that Snoop built. And so whatever the dialogue was before that, I don't know. I wasn't privy to that. But I remember him saying, yeah, but be respectful, man. This is the house that Snoop built. So it was a different vibe, man. He took over rapidly. He became #1 rapid, fast. That was for the interviewers, for sports people who came through, movie people who came through. They all wanted to go see Pac. They wanted to go whatever session he was in, whatever studio he was in. And sometimes it was almost like Snoop wasn't there. He went from the biggest thing in the world to now everybody's talking to Pac.
These tensions inside Death Row were quickly growing, as well as the already intense East versus West beef at the same time.
Pac had the spirit of animosity, revenge, retaliation.
Shakur has accused rappers Puff Daddy and Notorious B.I.G. of involvement in his New York shooting.
Pac was like, look, I go to New York, I go to the studio. These set me up and shot me, period. I was like, well, you with us, saying your friends is my friends, your enemies is my enemies. And I never felt like they had something to do with it because it just didn't feel right. They was his friends at the time.
If somebody was gonna mess with Pac, I'm gonna be right by his side. They created a war.
They were fueling each other's fire. Like they was tit for tat. Like nobody would put water.
When you see a Vibe magazine, when you see Puff and Biggie on the cover and see East versus West, niggas in the hood don't read articles. They just see East versus West. Oh, it's on.
It's on.
When I see them, it's on.
We got strength in numbers. That all these people talking about an East Coast, West Coast war, overthrow the government y'all got right now, which is Bad Boy and Nas and all that bullshit, and we will bring a new government here that will feed every person in New York.
Cool, man. All right, man, Pete.
These days, it doesn't take much to start a gang war.
What started out as music to inform has turned into music that incites.
Gang violence in Los Angeles, and 3 people are dead. The shootings were part of warfare.
The East-West thing is not a Snoop Dogg problem. If it's personal, it needs to stay personal. And y'all need to deal with it and handle it if it's a problem. And handle it and keep it out of our faces. I've been dealing with this my whole life. They don't play with shit like this.
Rapper Tupac Shakur put out a diss track insinuating he slept with Biggie's wife, fanning more flames to the East versus West war.
When he played it for me, I was like, cuz I ain't really feeling that, cuz.
We want to make sure we mash their ass like we did Biggie. You see that nigga quiet as a church mouse.
You buying more problems, cuz.
there is no mercy in my heart. If you're gonna act like you a gangster or a G or the king of New York, I'm gonna expect that. And when you don't come through, then I'm gonna crush your empire. And that's what it's time for.
When Tupac got shot, my main concern was keeping the family together. It's no time to be weak. There's no time to feel bad or sorry for nobody except. If there's something need to be done, something need to be done.
But the beef inside Death Row quickly escalated when Snoop was on Angie Martinez's radio show Hot 97 and said Biggie and Puffy were his friends.
You know, Pac listening to the radio and he hears Snoop like, these my homeboys. Talking about, you know, Puffy and Bad Boy and stuff like that. And that's okay if that was really the reality, because you have people from Death Row that didn't get involved in this. You know what I mean? Some people stood up on that. So I think it really hurt Pac, because when Snoop got on the radio, it was like, man, these my homeboys. But just a couple weeks before that, you was in the studio doing diss records against Biggie. So that's where it really hurt Pac. Pac wasn't the type of person who tried to bully Snoop like, no, my beef is your beef. It just hurt him when he like, bro, but you were just in the studio with me doing diss records. You were just, you know, riding with me and saying you know what I mean? But now, just a couple of days later, you're on the radio saying, so it hurt him in that standpoint of view. You know what I mean?
Biggie Smalls, he's an artist that you know what I'm saying, I listen to his music, I love his work. There's no beef, it's nothing personal. I don't hate him and I don't disrespect him, and I love what he do, you know what I'm saying? And it's just me, I'm just a smooth, peaceful individual. I don't have beef with nobody right now, baby.
You know, it was just, these people shot at Snoop in New York.
You know what I'm saying? And then we got shot at, you know what I'm saying? And Biggie was on the radio telling them like, yeah, y'all gonna let them come down here in our city and da-da-da-da, and they down there in Times Square. Go handle that. You know what I mean? And it was on from then, and then Tupac heard it, and then he was going crazy.
You know what I mean? Snoop went back, did diss records. So that really, you know what I mean? Because when you listen to these interviews, it would make it seem like Pac was just going at everybody and trying to instigate Snoop to be part of this, but that's not how it was, because they was all together. They was doing diss records against Biggie and Puffy. You know what I mean? And people change. Like, you know what I mean? I might have did something that I'd done as a teenager, and I look back, I regret it. You know what I mean? That's no problem. But to make it seem like you had nothing to do with none of this, that's when it comes to be kind of strange and weird, you know what I mean? But I don't think it was to the point where you can say Pac didn't like Snoop. He was upset, he was hurt. And I'm sure if he would have got the opportunity, God knows best, they probably would have been able to sit down, you know, because Pac really genuinely had a lot of love for Snoop. All of us guilty. You know what I mean? We all played a part.
Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25.
In Compton, California, a gang war and 5-day bloodbath apparently left 3 men dead and 10 wounded.
Some of our shootings may be in retaliation for the events that happened in Las Vegas.
Police say they've had 12 shootings and an increase of violence in Compton since September 7th.
And we was right in the middle of all of that madness and the deaths and the tragedy. He didn't realize how much influence he had, but he was very influenced by it. When you put all of our lives in jeopardy like that, you don't care. And that's what happened. Our lives was in jeopardy. I started to see that Death Row wasn't for me. I'm here to make good music. That's what I signed my contract to Death Row Records for, to make good music and perform and put out good albums. I didn't sign a contract to hurt nobody or make people hate me or hate people. I've been there, I've done that, so I'm gonna go this route, you know what I'm saying?
While Snoop was always somewhat of a sneaky character, you can't blame him for leaving the Death Row madness at the time and trying to fix his own life. Snoop left Death Row and joined No Limit with Master P in 1998, and Suge felt betrayed after Snoop left his record label.
Either motherfuckers riding with us or they riding against us. Ain't no in between, either you with us or against us. Those who not with us, you nothing.
It began to turn on me after that. It was like, it was animosity, they was bitter. You lose your biggest star. Then I started hearing, they gonna f you up. They gonna cut your hair. They gonna do this. And then he had Crips working for him that was gonna do something to me.
If it wasn't for Suge Knight, he would still be in somebody's cell making dinner, washing clothes. You was a low-limit soldier. Weren't you the same guy saying you had to get away from P because P selling drugs, and his own drugs killed his own daughter?
Suge Knight recently said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
Nothing. He used to be a CEO, now he's just an inmate.
While Snoop moved on from his death row days, Death Row was still trying to get at Snoop.
We was at the Universal. I was with No Limit. We was at the show. But we sitting on the inside. Death Row guys walk up. He come in peace, smiling, shaking my hands, walked me in the corner, talking to me. Now the other one was surrounding. 5 minutes later, it's about 7 of them around me. I ain't paying attention. So the soldiers then went on stage. Now I'm back here talking to these Death Row niggas by myself. So now they were like, you owe Suge apology. I'm like, Suge. Like, what? Try to take off on me. Whoa, he missed. I get out of there. Master P and him get the word while they on stage.
And everybody was like running out the gates. We run out. Hell riot is happening.
I get a whiz, no cuts, no scars, no hits, no nothing. But I run right into the law. With weed in my pocket and everything, because I'm trying to save my life.
As soon as we come out the door, we got officers throwing punks in our faces and helicopter. Get on the ground.
They didn't know where Snoop was. They're screaming, where's Snoop? Snoop, all right.
Snoop had enough of the death row drama, tried to move away peacefully, but now he was about to start to hit back at death row.
Putting threats out on people and talking about, you know, oh yeah, you know, your wife called me and told me not to do nothing to you, you know, and things like that. It was getting real personal, and diss songs, pimp slapped, and you know, all that was going on. So
I was gonna make a record dissing Death Row, like Death Row, because I just didn't give a at that time. They was coming after me, I was finna come after them. Suge Knight's a bitch, and that's on my life. Shit, I will end your if you keep talking on Craig.
After Snoop's diss track, Suge had something to say.
You have certain individuals who's artists, and they might get in trouble. They might do a few things, but they well-known names, and they inform the police. They snitches. One of the reasons that nigga come. Like Snoop. Oh, Snoop would never come. I mean, Snoop was on, you know, we beat a murder trial for him, but then he was on probation. Then he got caught with 2 ounces of marijuana. Then he got caught with guns. And each time it's nothing. They're not gonna violate him. Because for the street guys know what I'm talking about. There's no puzzle. I mean, if you get a guy that constantly getting in trouble and never gonna come to prison, that's because he's an informant. He's a rat, a snitch, you know. And they're more important to the police on the streets than in here, because they let them know what's going on. They might save their soul by telling on 3 or 4 or 5 other guys. You know, I'm from Compton, and a rat is the lowest you can go. A rat will do anything.
But you don't think Snoop was a rat?
I mean, I don't want to make Alice. I don't need to put nobody out there. Okay. If I do, that's like a form of telling. But for the street guys out there, they know. They know this guy never come to prison. They know the only way to stay out of prison is one way. I know I was going to have to pay a debt to society before it's coming to prison, because if you come from the inner city, you come from the ghetto, and you act up off that block, you'll come to prison sooner or later. If you don't come to prison, there's only a few things, you know, you got to be working with the police.
Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight celebrating his newfound freedom after serving 5 years for a probation violation.
Death Row's back on the streets, back on the clubs.
You're out of jail. You know, you're doing your thing, you're on parole.
The interesting thing about Suge is that there's always that little thing with he and Snoop Dogg. I mean, Snoop Dogg was on death row. He leaves death row, he goes on to do well. They both still have to coexist in rap. Most of all, they both still live in Los Angeles.
I stood up for these niggas, and the niggas didn't appreciate it. So when I got locked up, these niggas cheered. And they crossed me. I turned around and tackled the buses. I didn't get thrown under the bus. I ran into the bus for these fucking house niggas.
Is LA divided now between where Suge goes and where Snoop goes?
Yes. Suge goes everywhere in LA. Snoop goes nowhere in LA. He can't go nowhere without 20 people holding his hand.
They don't have no more stars over there, Death Row. So they living off of Snoop Dogg and the Dr. Dre Pass and Tupac Soul, you know. They just living off of all old material. There's nothing over there brand new that's moving.
I look at it in a way where I'm gonna respect you, you're gonna respect me. If you can't respect me, I'm gonna teach you how to respect me.
Suge claimed Snoop owes him everything, and Snoop said he owes nobody nothing. Death row is still on Snoop's neck.
They broke me, man. They broke my spirit. Win my murder case, Tupac get killed, Death Row wanna kill me. That's all in the same year. And I look back at all of the rappers that was writing about death. They all dead. Our pen is what we was writing. I hope I live to see 21 and blah, blah, this and that. And I know I ain't gonna make it. And death around the corner and I'm ready to die. That's the era we come from, to prepare ourselves for death. And it just made me feel like my pen created this.
Snoop understood the consequences of that lifestyle, but Suge was living that lifestyle to the fullest.
But I had to go get that cool with him. I had to go sit down with Suge when we wasn't cool.
Right.
I seen him in Vegas. I was, moving around, doing my thing, and turn around, and my security, he immediately on him. Boom. Suge like, doggy dog. Man, tell this nigga I ain't tripping, man. Tell this nigga to kick back. I said, all right, nigga, check it out. You know where I'm at. He said, let me come holler at you. I said, let me finish with this real quick.
What was the temperature at that point between the relationship?
Hot,
right, okay. Yeah.
Hot. Like, I had niggas that wanted to write, they seen him before I did.
Right.
I had to tell them,
Time out.
let me holler.
Right.
So this is what I do. I say, when I finish with this little woo-wop I'm with, I'm gonna have my folks come down there and tell you what room I'm in. And then when you come up to my room, there ain't gonna be nobody in there. Just me and you. About 45 minutes, I send my down, go get cuz and tell him to come up. I said, matter of fact, don't even come up with him. I want him to feel comfortable. And the whole conversation is, I loved you, nigga. I could have saved you. I had nothing but love for you. And his conversation was, nigga, I love you. I ain't got nothing but love for you. Why did you try to get me bop when you loved me? You know what? I forgive you. I ain't gonna do nothing to you. This nigga outside that wants your head right now. I ain't gonna do nothing to you. You gonna go and walk up out here and we gonna be cool from this day forward. And we been straight.
Snoop had squashed the beef, but Suge reignited it when Snoop acquired Death Row Records.
It's a sad thing, but the people who have Death Row chains never got a Death Row chain for me. So why are you wearing a Death Row chain? But who I did ride for, who I did love, who I always gonna ride for, is Tupac. I got love for everybody ever been on Death Row. The real Death Row.